Niall Flores, and this podcast is actually a presentation on WordPress SEO, getting back to basics. I originally presented this at WordCamp St. Louis 2014. And the objective to this presentation is to explain the basics of SEO, explain social search and what it means for your website, share strategies to optimize your site's design, share strategies to optimize your content, and share WordPress tools and resources to help you with SEO. So before we get into this, just a note, search engine optimization is not as difficult as you believe it to be. A lot of people think that it's something that you have to game, and you really don't. It's really simple. So what is SEO? SEO is an acronym for search engine optimization. What is on your website, from content, code, and design, are basic factors in telling the search engines the organization of your website. And for those curious for the more technical term, I've got one here for Wikipedia. Wikipedia says that search engine optimization, or SEO, is the process of affecting the visibility of a website or a web page in a search engine's natural or unpaid organic search results. So for me, I always actually break down a website when it comes to SEO into several major players, and there are four: your content, your design for graphics, and also your design coding, and social search. So in each one of these, I wanted to go over some tips and everything. So of course I wanted to start on a little bit of content 101. So my first tip is your site should contain an about page and contact page. It has to you really need something that tells the people why it matters that they're on your website, and a way for them to contact you. Having that door open to your visitors is really important. Actually, even more important that you have a form there rather than just an email. The next thing is video, audio, podcast, images, infographics should be accompanied by some text. This is really important because even though you already have a video there or an audio, sometimes having a paragraph or two to accompany that, or maybe even a little script, actually goes a long way. And Google actually likes some of the long form content. It's not that they're against the video or the audio or images. It's just that going that extra step to create some text content actually enhances your posts and your the rest of your content. Another thing is blogging is not required, but it certainly is recommended in order to build authority. A lot of people believe that WordPress is just a blogging platform. Well, that was true years ago, but it stopped being that, and it's actually a full content management system. WordPress has the flexibility to do many things, like be a multi-author news aggregation site, an actual e-shop, or e-commerce. In fact, even be an e-commerce on an enterprise level where you have thousands of products in the system. It can be for a crowdsourcing, like bidding for jobs, a social bookmark site, real estate site. You could probably even have a library on it. You can have your like a wiki. There's just so many things that WordPress can do that all you have to have is imagination and the capability and code and design wise to create it. So really the thing is you could do all these things, and you could either choose not to blog, and that's completely fine, but you're still going to have to create some type of content on some level, even if it's just static pages. However, blogging is actually a great companion for your site. It only just extends that authority that you really want people to see, and rather than buy from your competition, they'll come to you. So as I like to say, even though that my last point says blogging is not really required, I did want to actually cover a few blogging 101 tips. So you want to write unique and eye-catching article titles. There are a lot of people that actually get into writing these crazy titles that say killer strategy and everything, and for me, I may not be a perfect writer, but that's not how blogging is supposed to be. But I have a problem when I'm reading something and it doesn't make sense. So write something that's understandable and eye-catching. So it's kind of a modification of that. You want to try to put your keyword in your article title. Some people like to be kind of tongue-in-cheek about their titles and everything, but really, if you want to rank better, you're probably going to want to try to make sure that your title has that keyword in it. And then I go by this rule about keywords in the article. You should probably mention between 2 to 7 times in your article, and that actually depends on how long your article is. So you really, if you only have 200 words, you don't want to put your keyword in there 7 times, because then that would be keyword stuffing, and Google doesn't like that. So then the next thing is to not overstuff your article meta tags with keywords. Between 3 to 5 is acceptable. In fact, some of the engines don't even bother with meta tags, so you may not even want to try even deal with it. But if you want to, go ahead. Just don't overdo it. And another thing I like to say is short paragraphs are easier on the eye, so stay away from long paragraphs. A lot of people find that a very long paragraph is very daunting. If your paragraph takes up nearly half the actual screen, that's a problem. Some people, when they're in a hurry and they see that, they're probably going to leave the page. So it's better to kind of break it up. And then people do not have time to read long articles a lot of times. Think about breaking those long articles in 2, 3, 4 or more posts. Now, there are actually like articles out there that are lists that and it's great for conversion strategy, but it can be annoyance for some others, that they take each point in its own little page and just use that as at your own risk. You don't want to annoy your readers. But then again, you also want to make sure that if that point really needs to be by itself, then you need to consider whether it should be with the whole the entire article as a whole, or if it needs to be on its own article, maybe in a series. Okay. So another thing is recipe and review sites might want that anyone listening, you might want to think about installing schema or a plugin that will show up on Google's results with a review markup or recipe markup. And what this review or recipe markup is that when you actually look in the search engines, there's actually, you could see like so many stars. Like, say somebody thought a WordPress plugin was like so awesome, it was 5 stars. So it'd be 5 stars listed underneath that search for that article. And then for recipes, actually, if somebody really gets a good plugin, it actually shows up in an actual recipe format in the search engine. So it's like kind of really cool. And then the other thing about blogging is categories and tags. Know the difference. Oh, you better believe I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. I'm a little passionate about this because I often have to do a lot of strategy with clients about organizing their website. Now, your search engines will see your site one way, but when your actual visitor is within your website, especially WordPress, and considering its actual search is not the strongest out there, you really want to try to organize your site as best as you can. And the great thing to do this is utilizing your categories and tags. These are actually taxonomies. So in your categories, they're actually general organization for your website. You only need one category per post. I honestly don't see that there should be a need for more than one category in a post, especially if it's supposed to be a general topic. And you do not need a lot of categories for your site, depending on how your niche is, or niche, or however you say it. You could probably go between 5 to 8, or maybe 5 to 10 at the most, in categories. So the other is tags. Tags, while people kind of get these confused with keywords. They aren't keywords, but often your tags can be the same as your keywords. The tags are actually a more detailed organization for your website. You can have more than one tag. So, for example, I have a plugin review for a WordPress SEO by Yoast. And so I write my article and everything else. And I put this actually under the general category on my site under WordPress. I'm not going to put it under WordPress plugins because my own site has other major topics like blogging, SEO, web design, social media. So obviously my category for WordPress would be the best place to put it. However, I have to actually create some tags. So I'm going to probably put WordPress plugin, probably WordPress SEO, and I might even put WordPress plugin review, because often I'll actually put in my title WordPress plugin review. So actually, when you click on those tags that you list, it'll actually list all the posts that are related to that particular tag. So anything that you've actually dubbed WordPress plugin review would come up in the case that you you know, labeled something for blogging, it wouldn't show up in there. It should, because it doesn't have the most relevancy. And one, it didn't fall underneath that tag. So that's kind of a little bit about tags and categories. So my biggest thing about in these tips is because of how Google has over the years been trying to convey this message. I'm going to just have to say it here. Google has made its algorithms to be more human-like, so do not make your keywords for robots and aliens unless you don't want to be found. So now that we've got the content tips out, we're going to move over to design. So here's some of my design 101 tips. So while HTML5 throws valid coding for a loop, it is important to try to keep your code on your site clean and well organized. Remember, search engines are basically reading a site much like you're reading a book. So you want to have everything in order. You want to have all your everything labeled right. You want to have your headings in order, and it'll just make everything much easier for your site to be crawled. And if you're not sure about how to code a site, most new themes in the WordPress theme repository have gone through extreme review before being approved, and you can find them under wordpress.org /themes. And then the other thing is to keep your navigation clean and to the point. If you have way too many things up there, or maybe things that really are of no importance, don't put them up there. So just put what you need. Like if you have several navigations in certain ways, you really want to put them where they're visible and to the point. So you don't want to mix like your categories with your pages and everything. You might want to keep those separate. That way people are aware that, oh yes, this is strictly for categories, and oh wait, these are really strictly for like a main navigation for pages. So always keep that clean and to the point. Some more tips. If you want social network interaction, you might want to try installing a social share type plugin or adding the social buttons manually to your theme's templates. This is just something you shouldn't really be forgetting. If you're creating a website and you really want to get it out there, your best bet is that word of mouth. And what better to do that is to actually put a social share icon. So somebody comes to your website and sees what you have, it doesn't matter what it is, and they think it's awesome. And they want to share it, like it, or whatever. Well, you know what? That's free advertisement. So make sure you put it up there. Then my next tip is your front page does not always have to look like a traditional blog page. For some sites, this does not work. It doesn't matter if your blog, is a blog. Sometimes you don't have to have a front page that really looks like a standard blog, where you have full posts or actually excerpts listed. You can do all sorts of things. You can list links to different categories, or just take a look at just my website alone. It is mostly based on blogging. The front page does not look like a blog. I have one featured post, and then I have two different categories that I emphasize, like and list 5, just links to the 5 most recent posts, and then under it, I list the 5 most recent posts overall. So this doesn't look like a traditional a blog. I mean, it looks close, but it's not. So the cool thing is I'm actually utilizing widgets for all these areas and everything. So you really don't have to be caught up in, oh, well, I just installed this theme and my site's a blog and that's all. But my only problem is I can't get it to convert or anything else. It just seems that I can't get people to go to some of my popular posts, and I just can't find a place to put it. And these are just excuses. Step out of the box, get rid of it, in fact, and be creative. And just in case, if you think that your theme can't be worked with, and you can't do certain things to it because somebody told you, they're wrong, and you need to find somebody and pay somebody who can do it for you so that you have that flexibility in your theme. Another thing I wanted to point out is if you got a business, your whole site can be on WordPress. In fact, let WordPress do the work for you. All you have to do is add your content. And yeah, you engage and everything else, but it's a lot better than having to go back and forth where you have your WordPress blog and you're maintaining that, and then you have to go back to a static HTML or an actual e-commerce site and everything and then fool with that. Why not have them all managed from the same back end? It would just make it so much easier in the end. In fact, I'll let you know a little story. My site a long time ago, well, it's mostly because, WordPress was a blog platform before. At one point, we didn't have page support for a post type in WordPress. We only had posts. And so I had 150 pages of static content. Well, it was okay then, but it was a pain. I had to go back and I add things or edit things that I caught down the line that shouldn't have been there, or updated code that went out of style, and then maybe change stuff because my theme changed too, and that got tedious. I was doing that and I was still blogging, and it just took a lot of time. And then WordPress all of a sudden one day had support for pages. And so what did I do is I copied all my content from all my starter pages, threw them in WordPress, and from then on it was sweet, smooth sailing. So word of advice, just get it all in one end. Another design thing is keep the design clean and easy on the eyes for your readers. And then you also want to watch load time. This is a big thing. Even though that we do have the technology for higher speeds of internet and all that kind of stuff, we do have people that are on dial-up. Yeah. I actually know some people on that, and they cannot get like satellite or other types of internet because their home is way too big. It's monstrous that they've been told that the cable can only be so many feet so that to work properly, and their house is way too big, so they're stuck on dial-up or poor MiFi. So your best bet is to try to watch your load time. Usually it's the standard is to aim under 5 seconds. The closer to 1 is better, but 5 seconds tends to be kind of decent. Anything over, then really there's kind of no excuse if you're over 5 seconds. And if you didn't know, about, even with design and all your markup and everything, I just wanted you to know that WordPress already comes SEO ready out of the box. The markup is there. It's responsive as well. So if you're bootstrapping and everything, whatever WordPress has right now for default themes, will, 2014, 2013, 2012, those kind of themes, they're already ready for you to use in whatever manner you wish. So now what we got the design part, both the design and the coding out of the way. We're into social search. What? I always like to say, because that's the one of the biggest things that some of my clients are so confused about. I don't understand this Facebook engagement. How do you do that? Oh, right. So Google has been active about making their search engines more human-like, and have recognized that content is king and visitors are queen. Or a lot of people like to say is engagement is queen. Well, I'm female, so I'm going to say this. Females like to talk and everything too. So yes, visitors are queen. They're the ones that are moving and shaking whatever the content is there. You can't have one without the other, to get things going. So you must engage your readers in conversation, and encourage them to social share your articles in order to build your authority and rank. Now, this doesn't mean just encourage them to do this. You need to be also sharing your own articles. Don't be shy. Just do it. There's so many people are like, oh, I think I'm going to spam and everything. Well, it depends. If your article is like, buy this, and it doesn't tell them why it matters that they should come and look at this at least before buying or whatever, then yeah, maybe you just spammed them. So don't be shy. Share your stuff. Otherwise, no one's going to know what you're trying to sell, or what you're trying to get them to read or subscribe to, or whatever you're trying to do. So in the social search, actually, the big term content syndication falls under it. Content syndication means that you need to actually do something with your content, which is what I've been trying to talk about. So I'm making sure that you know this and trying to be a little serious about it. It could be sharing on social networks, getting readers to social share, getting readers to comment. These are all kind of in tie with website conversion. You want people to do something on your website. Google sees the importance of your articles by how much engagement is being done, and not by older algorithms based on keyword density and backlinks. So yes, we do have where you're doing your internal and external linking and getting backlinks and all kinds of wonderful stuff. And then you also have your keywords. Of course, we really want to have those there for your content. Otherwise, we wouldn't know what you're talking about. But we also want to see social engagement. Do people really care? Do real people even care about your site? Not those trackbacks and pingbacks and all that kind of stuff. Actual people. Are they sharing on Twitter? Are they liking on Facebook? Are they plus oneing on Google Plus? Or they're stumbling, or whatever they may be doing. Google wants to see that, and they reward sites for well done social engagement. So some really cool ways to get people to share, or to actually put social share buttons, like plugins like Dig or Jetpack. Personally, I use dig. I know there's a lot of other social share button plugins out there, and some of them are great and everything, but this is one I use. And it also is very popular. Jetpack actually is a big plugin with several different add-ons or modules within it that you can activate, and one of them is actually a share, social share button add-on. And the reason why that one seems to be popular is because the styling looks great and everything, and on the fact of the matter that you can actually track through Jetpack, your stats and everything. The problem with Jetpack is that some people, they get that addiction to wanting to turn everything on. So if you really only want Jetpack for the social share features, only turn those modules on. Don't turn everything else on. At least for now, as far as I'm aware, as of March 2014, that they are aware and will be working on some of the issues on loading and everything. So, just keep that in mind. And even if you don't like the social share plugins that I list, you can always go to the WordPress plugin repository at wordpress.org/plugins and do a search. Another plugin I like that kind of, helps people to see what articles may be related to the one they're just reading, and maybe like pull them into another part of the conversation, is yet another related post plugin, or it's also called YARP. It's a pretty old plugin. It's very handy, and basically it lists the most relevant posts to the current article that somebody's reading. So say of course, if I'm doing a article on WordPress plugin review, well, maybe there are some similar plugins to that I have reviewed, and this plugin will pick that up. Now, this wouldn't be a presentation if I didn't have a plugin specifically about SEO. And for me, I believe the best SEO plugin out there is WordPress SEO by Yoast. It's very in-depth, and for some people it may be intimidating because it has a lot of options, but once you actually go through the plugin, you can actually understand what you need to do, and of course, if you do a search, some places actually have some advice on recommended settings. You can actually get premium support from Yoast. It does cost. He also has like a video tutorial that also costs as well. It's very in-depth, and I do recommend it. So what WordPress SEO does is, for the basic user, I like to explain it like this. It allows you to see how your article is going to appear on Google before you publish it. So it actually has settings underneath, like posts and pages, where you'll be able to see exactly how it'll appear on Google before you hit that publish button. You can set it for focus keyword, and optimize it. You can, if you don't like whatever it pulls from your article for your description, you can actually create your own article description for the search result. Of course, there are others. So I'll list what WordPress SEO can do for you. You have the option, if your theme doesn't have it, to add breadcrumb navigation to a page. This actually allows people to never get lost. They know exactly where they are on your page. So if you see a site that has like a little line that says home and then maybe the article title, then and the article title is maybe highlighted or hyperlinked, you know that you can go back to home and you'll be at the home page. So you can never get lost, and Google kind of likes that. You know, it gives that organization to your website, so nobody, you know, like I said, nobody gets lost. You can also alter your RSS feed with more accurate elements you want to put in, and you have options for sitemaps. You can control page and post titles as well as meta, and have options for permalinks and canonical URLs, and you can import settings from other SEO plugins. Now, I'm not trashing on other SEO plugins out there. I just have had a lot better experience with WordPress SEO. I know that there are some people that don't, you know, really like the plugin for whatever reason. Might be a conflict with their chosen theme or something like that. But this one really considers a lot of things. It was not put together for, you know, a bunch of giggles. It really was well thought out. Another plugin I recommend is actually one for getting your site indexed. Now, actually, WordPress SEO has that option for sitemaps, but if you're not using WordPress SEO, and maybe you're using another plugin out there, a lot of the SEO plugins that are not WordPress SEO by Yoast do not have a Google XML sitemaps kind of generator in a way. So you're going to want to have the Google XML sitemaps plugin. This plugin gives your site a sitemaps.org valid sitemap that will alert search engines like Google, Bing, and more that your site exists. And WordPress SEO by Yoast does it, and I would recommend recommend WordPress SEO by Yoast. However, if you're already using a plugin, or if some other SEO plugin for WordPress is out there that you would prefer, this would actually be a good plugin to have in your arsenal. So now that we have those things covered, we actually want to talk on cache or site load time. This is a big issue, especially for already established websites. As your site grows or you're adding stuff, not everybody thinks about how much wear and tear this is on your database. You know, how much graphics weigh heavily on the load time of your site, and you know, all sorts of stuff. So you want to put some things in place, you know, that you can handle. I like to use W3 Total Cache for actual cache plugin. It's very in-depth. Another thing is a CDN, or Content Delivery Network. And then Plugins Organizer, which is really cool. And then WP Smush It. So I'm actually going to go a little bit into each one of these plugins, since I've actually just list them. W3 Total Cache, it is a plugin. There actually is another plugin out there called WP Super Cache, and it works well too. The difference between them usually boils down to whether it actually works on your host or not. A lot of times it's funny how that reasoning is. It seems so ridiculous, but it's the truth. I've had people who can do W3 Total Cache, but they can't do WP Super Cache, and vice versa. So basically, the cache plugin like W3 Total Cache does reduce download times. It optimizes server performance. It can be used hand in hand with Content Delivery Network, or CDN service. You have browser cache option, and you can save on bandwidth, and it works great with dedicated servers that have memcache. And memcache is actually just a option to save certain pages, so it's not called as frequently to your actual server. So they actually have a specific place configured just for caching on your server, or caching. A CDN allows your content to be distributed by a large system of multiple servers across the internet. CDNs can also provide a level of security. There are several out there, like MaxCDN and Cloudflare, that can do this. In fact, some people actually stack Cloudflare on top of MaxCDN because Cloudflare actually has a level of security in with it. Then the other thing I like to recommend is Plugin Organizer. It's actually a plugin, and so what we know is like all that jQuery and the scripts you're using for plugins, they take up load time. So those contact forms, sliders, and other plugins that you use jQuery that they bog down your load time. A plugin like this, the Plugin Organizer, actually allows you to control exactly what pages on your site will use certain scripts. For developers in particular, this will cut down on coding time. In fact, this is so simple. You can actually set custom filters based on the URL. So basically, if you have a front page that you don't want everything to load globally, because that's what's going to happen on a lot of these plugins out there, that you can actually set that URL and toggle it off, and those scripts will not activate on that page. You can do that on single posts and single pages, and as far as I'm aware, also custom post types. And another big thing, especially if you're a photo blogger or if you're a photographer, WP Smush It is a really good plugin to have. It compresses images without any loss to the quality. So this actually concludes my presentation. So if you have any questions about WordPress SEO, you can come to my site at blondishnet, or you can ask me on Twitter. My handle is blondishnet. That's BLONDISHNET. And under Facebook, under Niall Flores. And slide share, like this slide, if you're curious about what other things I've presented, which I have presented a lot. You can find me under slideshare.net/blondishnet. Thank you for listening in for my presentation on WordPress SEO, getting back to the basics.